Hello everyone, today I will show you how to secure MikroTik services. We will change default ports, disable unsafe services, block access from the internet, disable MAC login, and prepare LAN or WAN interface lists for proper firewall protection. This lab I will in GNS3, so this content we will configure today. 1. Change the port block www.http access to the router. 2. Change the port and block SH access to router. 3. Change the port and block Telnet access to router. 4. Disable MAC login from Winbox access to router. 5. Create LAN or WAN lists, group interfaces so firewall rules can reference LAN and WAN cleanly. Check IP address for access on browser or WebFig. Go to IP, click address for check IP and copy this IP to put on browser. Next go to browser and pass this IP on browser and enter. Now you can access to router by WebFig on browser, because we're not yet to change anything. The default HTTP and HTTPS ports used by WebFig. This reduces simple automated scans on ports 80 and 443. Note, changing ports is not real security. The real security is disabling unused services. So now I'm going to change the default configuration on MikroTik. Go to IP and click Services. First change port www. This is all services that you can access to MikroTik router by using the services. For the secure on router, you should disable some services. Now I'm going to disable some services like API, api-ssl and FTP. I'm using 4 services for login to router. Here I will change the default HTTP and HTTPS ports used by WebFig Form 80 to 8888 and try to log in on browser again. Now you can not log in by WebFig on browser. If you want to log in to router, should specific port. Specific port that we were changed behind the IP. Now you can access to router. In this step, I changed the default Winbox port from 8291 to 8000 to reduce automated scanning. Noted, when you change the default port in Winbox, it cannot log in by IP address without port, should specific port, but remember you can access login by MAC address without port. See, you can log in by MAC address without port. Next step I will show you how to block MAC address on Winbox. Now try to log in on Winbox. First try to log in without port so it does not log in right. Next try to log in with specific port behind IP address. It will log in successfully. Now I'm going to disable www service. Do not allow to access login router in WebFig on browser anymore. Step I'm going to change is the default port of service. Before I'm changing, I will show you how to remote BIOS to router using default port. Go to your PC and open terminal. We will remote from your PC terminal. Write this command below. See, now I can remotely access the router using on the default port 22. If you want to check who logged into your router, go to System, click User and look to the active user. Write yes, you will log into router successfully and check in active user. You will see you log in via service. Next, I'm going to change the port from 22 to 200. Write command quit for logout from router and then try to log in again. First, try to log in without port. You will fail to log in. See, connect to host 19.168.40.133 default port 22 connecting refused. Next, try to log in. Put specific port that we changed from 22 to port 200. Command below. Now login using the new port is successfully. You can define restrict to LAN only available from. Now only my LAN network can access. The internet cannot reach this service. Now I'm going to disable service and try to remote access BIOS again. It will fail to log in because service was disabled. Next, I'm going to show you about Telnet service. So Telnet is insecure, no encryption, plain text password. Demonstrate briefly, then turn it off. To demonstrate Telnet remote access, we will use PuTTY. PuTTY is a free tool that allows us to connect to devices using Telnet and SSH. I will download and open PuTTY now. Click Open PuTTY, and now PuTTY connects to the MikroTik router using Telnet on port 23. Noted, this connection is not encrypted, which is a big security risk. Now remote access login to router is successfully. This last step, I'm going to show you how to disable Mac Winbox login. Because even though you was disable or changes port, you should thinking about the MAC address. Goal, prevent users on the same LAN from logging into the router using Mac Winbox Layer 2 access that bypasses IP rules. Show MAC access is currently possible Winbox. Open Winbox, click Neighbors. You will see the router by MAC address. Right now, the router is visible by MAC address. This allows login without using IP, which can bypass some protections. In MikroTik Mac Server section, you see 3 items: Mac Telnet Server, Mac Winbox Server, Mac Ping Server. These are Layer 2 management tools. They work by MAC address, not IP address. That means they can bypass your IP firewall rules if you don't disable them. Mac Telnet Server, what it does: allows Telnet connection to the router using MAC address. No IP needed. Works only inside the same LAN Layer 2. Risk: can bypass IP restrictions. Very insecure Telnet plus Mac. Mac Winbox Server, what it does: lets Winbox connect using MAC address. You can log in even if you don't know the router IP. Risk: bypasses firewall and IP service rules. Anyone in LAN can try to log in. Mac Ping Server, what it does: allows devices to ping the router using MAC address. Used for discovery in LAN. Risk: helps attackers discover the router on the network.